to try a different technique of planting my tomatoes this year. I usually just put seeds in the ground and whatever I get, I get. But I got these plants from Lois and Ben. So they are mystery tomatoes. So I guess if they do good for me, I will keep planting the seed and they will be called Ben's tomatoes. Why not? But in any event, I have a new technique that I heard about where you only leave 2 of these, and you see this plant is really suckering out, but you only leave 2 of these when you start. So I'm going to pinch out these different ones down low here. Did I get everybody? No. Boy, this plant seems nice and vigorous. It's enjoying the sun. This pains me to do this. Let me see. You got this one. It says you're only supposed to leave 2. I know this is 1. I know this is 1. And I don't know about this. I've decided I'm just going to leave this very top when I plant it out. So I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to take this off. And that is my pruned plant that I am planting out. You must dig the hole deep. And I am companion planting. You can see this is very good soil that has been tended for years in my raised bed garden. This tomato is being lovingly planted amongst my parsnips. Carrots don't do so well for me because they keep getting eaten by the critters, but for some reason they avoid the parsnips. This is the deepest hole I can dig for this little tomato. The dirt keeps falling back into the hole, but I am not going to be daunted. I can taste my summer tomatoes as I'm planting this plant. So I am determined to finally get that soil out of my hole. This is what gardening is like. It's not without its trials and tribulations. Okay, so now I'm going in there and making sure this hole is planted very, very deeply, very, very deeply, so that I can make sure that I'm giving this tomato plant its wonderful start. The tomato plant, now that we've pruned it, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bury the tomato plant all the way up to those 2 leaves so that it can then give itself a nice rooted structure. And now I have success with the planting hole. Yay! There's plenty of room for this little teeny tiny tomato to get its start amongst my parsnip. And we'll see if tomatoes love parsnip as much as they love carrots. All right, we'll see. I'm pretty sure they will because I planted them with parsnips last year. And you could take a look at last year's tomato garden. My tomatoes were like 10 to 15 foot long last year. And they were planted with the parsnips. So I'm hand digging this hole because it's in my raised bed. This soil is great. It's the best soil in the garden because it was piled up by me. You can see this hole is about 6 to 8 inches deep. And we are now ready, in my high opinion, to plant the tomato into the hole. I think the hole's deep enough. I'm using my hand as a ruler, and the hole is going all the way up to my wrist. So it is 8 inches deep. I think that is just about deep enough. I just want to make sure the bottom is clean. Okay, got the last little stone out. I'm gonna take this bad boy out of the pot. Here we go. And hopefully she's still good. Yeah. And you see the roots there? Ooh, I think I found another tomato plant. We can't waste that. Yeah. I'm going to try and have myself 3. Now, I am going to take this lovely tomato plant and I am going to plop it into this deep hole. And instead of filling it back up with my old soil, I'm going to put some of my new good soil. A lot of people take the planting of the tomato plant for granted. They just figure anything will do. This plant is getting a new start in life. Its whole world is changing. And it's the month of June in an arid subtropical environment. Nothing like where tomatoes come from. They come from the tropics. They like heat and they like water. So in order for me to be successful with this tomato, I've got to give it the best start I possibly can. This soil needs to have good aeration. It has to have all the nutrients this plant needs. So I am using Patio Plus by Kellogg. You can see it has some little branches in it. That way it won't get too compacted. I need this soil to be loose and light so the plant roots can go deep into the soil. All of this plant is being buried in the soil. You see, soil is just raining down on this tomato plant. And as you can see, if the tomato plant can think, it's not sure what's going on and it's hoping that everything works out well. You know, she looks like she's feeling like, oh my goodness, I was in a nice, safe container. Everything was going fine. And now what's going on? But I'm just raining down this beautiful soil all around the healthy, strong tomato plant and giving it the best and most luxurious start in life I can afford so that I can get pounds and pounds of tomatoes out of between 2 and 4 tomato plants, unless there's some tomato growing in my garden that grew wild. You know, that might be the case. But this dirt is really, really good quality. It has everything in it to aerate this soil and provide this tomato plant with a wonderful start in life. Now, the one thing you want to make sure you do, I've slowed this down. As you can see, I'm going around the roots of this plant. Now we need to make sure that the soil and the roots are in contact with each other. So I'm going around the plant because this hole is very deep and it would be awful to leave an air space underneath the plant. Shaking the dirt off the plant, and I'm making sure that the little bit of plant that I left is not being accidentally buried. I don't want to bury the healthy leaves that I left on the plant. I want them to grow and strengthen, but I want to make sure that I am packing this plant in with this airy and light soil. So I'm checking around, I'm dusting off the leaves there and making sure, okay, that little plant is above the soil, because that's what I want to make sure. When I water it, I think that the soil will compact a little bit more, but I will keep burying more and more soil on the base of the plant until it is finally, I don't know, 5 foot long. Then I'll figure it's in good order. So you see how I am making sure that the soil does not come in contact with those 2 limbs I've left, nor the center of the plant. I think that is very important tomato plants, they are pretty willful, and in this area they will grow very, very, very quickly. But when you give them a good start, good soil, make sure there's soil contact, press this light airy soil in so there is soil contact with their roots, this plant will be able to fly through summer and become the producer of tomatoes that I need it to be. So that's what we're doing here. You see, pressing the soil in around the plant so that even that stem has good contact with this soil. This is Patio Plus. So this is a soil that's designed for containers. It's not a heavy mulch. It's not a heavy garden soil. You have to make sure when you are planting in containers and raised beds that you haven't left any air pockets. Even though tomatoes in my area, the critters and insects do not care for tomato plants. I think tomato leaves might be poisonous or something, so very few things want to eat the leaves. So in that sense, we're good. But those things that would want to attack the plant, their moment would be when you first plant it out if you're not straight. Now that I have got the plant off of the soil, so I have taken all the soil off of the plant, I am now going to fill in this plant with a little bit more soil, just a little bit of a topper. And then after we get this soil in, the next level around the plants on the outside, not on the inside, then we will be able to finally water the plant. I have slowed this down so you can really, really see how it looks. No matter how you replay it, this is something that it's critical to starting a plant, particularly where you don't have a whole lot of water, but you have the warmth, and you need this plant to put itself into overdrive. I will not use any chemical fertilizers. I will simply use organic fertilizers with this. So the soil that I'm putting on the plant will be the most immediate source of food for this tomato. This tomato in the next week or two is going to eat all the nutrients in the soil that I've just placed it in. So now we're giving it that final check, making sure. And now we will water and we're ready to go. I will declare that you Hashem has said unto me.